So did any of them have a particular insight which you felt that, oh wow, this is it, this is what I was looking for?
I think I try and avoid that. We come to an agreement of what is essential in the book. 2 or 3 things, not too many. And then we don't know what it is that we're looking for.
You don't find that in cinema because you act in it.
Don't find?
In cinema, you don't find that.
No, in cinema it's not hard. In cinema it's not hard because it's about a shot, at one time, which you can reassess and reshoot and then again there's editing to take care of things. Cinema is not hard at all. And cinema acting is not half as difficult as this. This is really hard work.
But if you're busy with cinema and all, we would miss you in the theatre. So I guess in a way it's
No, I would still find time with you. There's no. But I'm very happy. I'm very happy with it.
Hi Rajat.
Hi Deepa.
Sorry
Good to
to
see you
interrupt your
after
rehearsal.
many years.
Yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt your rehearsal.
Not at all.
So
Rehearsal will start at 5.
So we'll talk a bit about your new play and why of all the Russian literature, this one seemed to you like something you could adapt for the current times.
It's not read a book or a play and say, okay, now I can adapt it to our context. The starting point is and should be that work moves you in a certain way, that it does something to you, that you relate to it at an individual level and at a societal level. And then if it moves you enough, and then why you do it is because you want to go deeper in it, delve in the essence of the play or the book more, longer, discover more about it. And that's why you do it. Then of course, the process of contextualizing and all that begins. But the first primary thing is that initial response. I've been a big fan of Dostoevsky for the last 30 years. In fact, Crime and Punishment. And then when Mani made The Idiot from that time. But this book I had not read. I like The Idiot very, very much. It's one of my favorite books of all times. But Karamazov, for one reason or the other, I had not read. I read it last year. And I said, yes, okay, this is the next play.
So do you keep revisiting the classics or the old authors?
There's so much to read, yeah. There's so much, and so little one has read, Even if you've read a lot, you've read very little. So yeah, one is still trying to catch up with the great works. And Karamazov, my wife had read it some 30 years back. So her favorite book was Karamazov and mine was The Idiot. And now for me also is the Karamazov.
So you mentioned somewhere that you developed the play with inputs from the actors. So
Always.
What did it entail? I mean, you had to tell the actors everybody read.
Yeah. Everybody was supposed to read it. Some of them did. Some of them didn't because it's a thick, bloody book. And then when we started rehearsal, we would photocopy a chapter and then we would read it together. So what they didn't do at home, they had to do it with me. And when we read it together, I said, okay, this is more or less the scene, how Dostoevsky describes it. Now let's see how we want to do it and how you want to do it. And then people would go on stage and try and find their own context in it, bring their own past in it, find words for it in our language, in Hindi, for this play. You see, it's a lot of fun. It's a hard process because actors also are not used to working like this. Without a text, they feel lost, a lot of them. Which is really hard. It's actually hard because they don't know how to begin, where to begin. But I would say it's a lot of fun also. Because it's hard and because it's scary, that's what makes it very exciting also. And then you feel you have an ownership in what is created. It's not somebody telling you do this, do that. Everybody has created it together, and that's a great journey.
So did any of them have a particular insight which you felt that, oh wow, this is it, this is what I was looking for?
I think I try and avoid that. We come to an agreement of what is essential in the book. 2 or 3 things, not too many. And then we don't know what it is that we're looking for. So every day becomes a process of looking. In a way, yes, everybody has an insight, a new insight every day. But there is no one insight. That happens only when the play is finished. Then we realize, do we have anything to say at all or is just rubbish?
So the danger with this process, seeing from an outsider point of view, is that it can go on forever. You can keep adding things and subtracting things. So at what point do you say, okay, now it's
Oh,
done and now we have to start?
That is true of anything. Even if you have a script, you can go on forever. But I think over the past few years, I know 50 to 60 days is good enough time. But 50 to 60 days is enough for you to find a structure, to polish it, to present something. Again, it's the same with the film. With our budgets, we have to shoot our films in 25, 28 days. But if I had 40 days, I would be very happy. But if I had 100 days, would it be a good film or would it be terrible? Because when I had too much time, too many resources, and one could spend whatever, it's not always a good thing. So this idea of economy is actually not bad. You try and do the best within your limited resources, and I think sometimes it works to your creative advantage also.
So when you say 60 days,
Sorry?
how many hours in the 60 days?
About 5 to 6 hours a day.
A day.
On an average.
That's I think manageable for everybody who's
Yeah,
busy
yeah,
doing other
yeah, and it's very nice, because instead of doing, let's say, 12 hours in 30 days, which is not, I think, not good, because you also need days to mull it over and it grows with you, Of course, I had read this book last year, so already it was working with me, and I was reading it again. So there was some, without deciding, okay, this or that, but you're thinking about it, it has become a part of you. You're spending time with it already. So when you come for rehearsal, you already have, you're not starting from zero.
And how did you go about casting it? Vinay Pathak, I think, is now
Is a constant.
Is a
Has been a constant
yeah.
for the last 30 years. See for Clown and Hamlet and Lear and Macbeth and As You Like It. And this. Chandrachud also I've worked with before in films mostly. Others were more or less first time with me. Also because I'm doing a play in Hindi after many years. So, and a non-clown play. So there were many new actors that I could meet and work with who could not work with me earlier because it was clowns or it was English. So, a lot of new kind of actors opened up for me. So I'm very, very happy to have worked with some of them, to have discovered some of them. Terrific bunch, terrific group of people. Bagi mujhe pata nahi, natak ka mujhe pata nahi, but the actors are very, very good.
These days, the main complaint of most theatre people is that actor nahi milte hain. Actors run away, they are busy, they are, so
I suppose, but I've managed to run Hamlet for 10, 12 years, Macbeth also for now 8 years. I think there are enough people who are motivated enough or dedicated enough and passionate enough about theatre. So I don't think that problem is there for me. But I can imagine, because if you get television work and film work, and it's hard to say no to all of that.
So after See for Clowns, most of the clown work you did with Shakespeare.
Right.
So do you think that only Shakespeare's work lends itself to this?
Not at all. It didn't start like that. After See for Clown, my first thing was, what would happen if clowns were to do a classical text? And I thought of Oedipus actually to start with, but I read it and somehow, and then after Hamlet, then I thought of Lear, and I thought it should be very different from Hamlet, so we'll try it with one actor. And then I started getting excited. I said, okay, now if there were 4 Shakespeare plays all done by clowns, how cool would that be? So like that, Macbeth and As You Like It. But it's not that only Shakespeare can be done with clowns. Almost anything can be done.
You think the Russian plays are those deep, dark?
Dark for clowns?
Russian plays are...
They're not darker than Macbeth and Hamlet. Macbeth is a very dark play. And so is Hamlet. My God, really dark.
Dark, yeah.
And Lear.
Russian plays are a different kind of different genre.
Russian
the
plays,
society was such, and
Yeah. Russian, see, when you say Russian plays or Russian books, it's such a, Tolstoy is so different from Dostoevsky, who's very different from Chekhov. And Chekhov's plays, somehow I never get very excited about. I love his short stories, really love them. But his plays, I don't get excited about. I don't know what it is. And I've read them again and I've watched them again, whether it's Uncle Vanya or Three Sisters or Seagull. And I've been doing it for 30 years, reading them and watching them. It just doesn't excite. Dostoevsky I find very close to something very close to me. The darkness, or I don't know, his constant struggle with faith and the despair that comes out of that. Because you would like to have faith, and yet there's a lack of it. So it's fantastic. Also, this kind of almost a delirium that his characters are in all the time, and driven by the passionate delirium, bizarre and very compelling.
Do you find issues of morality in it also?
Huge, because when with lack of faith, that is the big thing. Then what is allowed and what is not allowed? Like Ivan in Brothers Karamazov, that's his constant struggle. That if there is no God and if there is no immortality, then everything is allowed, everything is permissible, or is it? That's his dilemma.
So I guess you have to, in that situation, you have to find your own and wrong, your own.
You have to find your own right and wrong. Also, again, Dostoevsky is not about right or wrong. I think or a great novel or a great book or a film is not about right or wrong. It's beyond that. It is that, okay, this is the state of humanity. This is who we are. And what we are is beyond right and wrong. It's almost compulsions, and our struggle with our mortality.
So do you think that with all the new plays being written constantly, people keep going back, especially places where the theatres are a lot like the UK, going back to the classics because they find that they are, one, true to the ages, and two, they can be adapted to today's time because somehow the times have kind of reverted to.
Times have, I don't know about that, but also they are great plays and great books because they have something which is true for centuries. And again, because it's about human beings, and I don't think human beings have changed that much in the last, 2000 years. The world around us has changed, technology has changed. We live a very different life, I suppose. But the core is not changed that much. The emotional compulsions that drive us, the fact that we die and, and really repeat cycles that has been repeated for thousands of years. So yeah, and then a great work like Hamlet or Brothers Karamazov, they lived because it meant something at that time, and it still means something to us now. It still speaks to us.
So if you were to describe the novel or the play in brief to somebody who has not read the book, how would you describe it?
It's a dysfunctional family. That's the short and easy. It's Kapoor and Sons gone bad. How's that? I never thought of that before, but yeah, why not?
Yeah, that's true. So over the nearly 40 years that you've been doing theatre, we start with Chinkari in Delhi and Cinematograph now, this whole journey. I've been watching you've been doing theatre, and I find there's a lot of change in the kind of theatre being done and the way people consume theatre also.
Right.
So what are your thoughts about that?
I think there are a lot more people watching theatre now than there were earlier. This disposable income is higher, so people have more to spend. People have also a desire to go out more. So yeah, people. So I can't complain.
No, I meant in terms of the content. I mean, people looking for a lot more entertainment, for lighter plays.
That always was, yeah. That always was.
At one point, they were willing to accept, experimental work. Now it's like
even now they do. See, there's always a divide of people who want this and that, and I think people who wanted slightly more intelligent work is still a niche audience, still a minuscule audience, like it was then. So that hasn't. Maybe it's gone up by 5% or something. But maybe this play like this will not reach. But it's also true of the kind of films we make, Deepa. So you can't say that this is for that kind of audience, this kind of audience. Eventually you do it because it excites you, and you hope somebody else will be excited by it, even if it's 5 people. And then that's enough. After that, if it goes out to 5 million people, I mean, great. Wow, that's a bonus.
So the films that you have done, some of them at least, you've made by this crowdfunding process, which I think gives you a kind of freedom to do the kind of work you want, because you're working with a traditional producer, they would not.
But even when I've worked with the traditional producers, I've been lucky enough or resilient enough to really make my films. And I've not been told ever so far to change this or that or to cast this or that. Because that is something that is very clear for me from the beginning. How much money can you give me without dictating terms to me? And I'll make a film in that. If you say, okay, I have 2 crores, you make whatever, I'll make whatever and give you. But it has to be on my terms, creatively. After that, what do you want to do with it? Sell it or not sell it? It's up to you.
No, what I meant to ask in the as a adjunct to the question was funding for theatre to be able to do your kind of theatre. How do you fund? You didn't obviously crowd fund this one.
No, but theatre doesn't take that much money. So theatre is easy in that sense. I can do a play with 10, 12, 15 lakhs. I can't do a film in that much. A film would need 2 crores. And theatre will also recover its money. That's the other thing. Even if we spend whatever 12, 15 lakhs in this, in a year, 2 years, money will be recovered. So no issues at all. And when we've spent 50 lakhs on publicity, out of that 4 lakhs, 2 lakhs goes to the PVR and Inox, 2 lakhs comes to us, that's for a film that has cost 2.5 crores plus 50 lakhs in release. A play will recover its money and more.
You have to keep running it for a longer period of time. So you're finding now a lot more avenues outside Mumbai also where people are hungry
that's what people want to watch plays. We are invited, which was not the case earlier. Even smaller cities. I mean, we've been to Ranchi twice with Nothing Like Clear, play in English. And there was an audience. So, Lucknow, Jaipur, cities in the south, Bangalore, of course, is a thriving audience. Delhi, Bombay, Pune, these are anyway, metros are always good. No, so there's a big audience for theatre. At least few shows, if not, 20 shows.
And you're not tempted to act in your own place?
In the place that I direct? No, I think it's impossible. Because as a director in plays, you really have to be outside and watch constantly.
You don't find that in cinema because you act in your...
Don't find?
In cinema, you don't find that?
No, in cinema it's not hard. Cinema is not hard because it's about a shot, at one time, which you can reassess and reshoot and then again there's editing to take care of things. Cinema is not hard at all, and cinema acting is not half as difficult as this. This is really hard work.
And the cinema and OTT content that you do, I mean, you seem to fit into, very well into whatever you've done so far.
Thank you very much. But I try and choose well.
Choose well.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you get good offers, which is why you're able to choose.
I don't get many good offers because, Deepa, the problem is that we don't write well, whether it's for cinema or OTT or whatever. We write very bad stuff, mediocre stuff. So I wish we wrote better and I would be happy to do more. But I say no to a lot of things because it's shabbily written.
But if you're busy with cinema and all, we would miss you in the theatre. So I guess in a way it's...
No, I would still find time for you. There's no... but I'm very happy. I'm very happy with how much work I do there. But it would be nice if there were better written scripts and rules. Not just for me personally, but I'm saying even to watch for the audience. I think we don't spend enough time writing and going deep inside what you write.
As far as theatre is concerned, what more do you think needs to be done to get more people to write?
More people to write? I don't know. I have no idea. And I don't know, I don't have an answer to why we don't write better in films. Or I think we just please too easily, maybe. I really don't have an answer. Or maybe writing is not our trait. This is not something we have cultivated over centuries. We were more Kishuna or Gadia, our classical arts were like that. Maybe that is the reason. But the truth is that we don't write well.
But has it ever, has it crossed your mind at any point that you have an idea and you want to develop and you commission somebody to write it?
For a play? No, I like this process very much now, and I will not work any other way than this of creating really out of nothing, of creating a little every day.
So you would work with existing text or existing...
Not necessarily. C for Clown was not an existing text. So it could be an idea like that. I mean, tomorrow one could say, okay, let's make something about death and dying. But I'm saying it would be this process rather than me sitting at home and writing a 90-page script, which I do for films, but I don't enjoy that in theatre.
Thanks so much, Ajay.
Thank you.
And break a leg.
Thank you. And come and watch the play.